With Sin City in the rear view and Miami on the horizon, Brian and I are in to talk all things South Point 400. What went well, what didn't go so well, how did our DraftKings lineups work out? Plus, we'll head to Miami and talk about the Burner Cell Phone 400, aka the Straight Talk Wireless 400, the cellular provider of drug dealers and ladies of the night everywhere. All of that and more on today's Angle of Pursuit podcast.
Ross Chastain used the wall all the way around this racetrack.
Logano has been the class of the field.
Check out the big brain on Brad.
Yeah, I need to change my underwear.
Brian Twining back from Vegas, at least temporarily.
Yep.
With literally in your rear view mirror when you were driving home. We can talk all things South Point 400. We'll also get into the Straight Talk Wireless 400, talk about where we're looking early in the betting markets. Lines are moving, odds are moving, outrights are going banana sandwich. We have arguably the best round of 8 ever. We have 3 races that are very legit playoff serious races.
Yep.
This is a pretty good time to be dialed into NASCAR.
100%. I don't think you could have asked for a better group of drivers to hit a better group of races to clinch a spot in the championship for. I mean, we go from a traditional mile and a half in Vegas it's starting to weather in, so tire wear is starting to become a thing, to a mile and a half in Homestead where tires are just as important as at Darlington. And then we go to Martinsville, a short track where we're getting to see that track run in the new short track package with the new tires that they unveiled at Bristol earlier this year. And we saw not wear at all the second time through. So yeah, this round is going to be one for the ages, and I would not count any of the guys below the cut line right now out of making it into the championship four just yet.
And we'll talk about their odds and why they make sense. But I'm going to present my screen and we'll run through some stuff. And first, I'm going to start out with some futures talk because and this is a little foreshadowing into who I may or may not be betting this week, added Tyler Reddick and Ryan Blaney championship futures. You can look at what their odds are doing in the outright market and just kind of get an idea of people are excited about them. If they win, they're in. Both of them could be exceptional at Phoenix. If you're betting Reddick and or Blaney this week, or you're just looking to gain some outright exposure, then maybe that might be a good way. Where if you're like, I mean, we'll talk numbers here in a minute, but it's the numbers are moving. So
well, and I think to your point, like when you look at the guys well below the cut line right now in Ryan Blaney, Tyler Reddick, and Chase Elliott, obviously they're going to be the dogs in the championship futures market because they have a lot of ground to make up here. But you have to account for what these guys' numbers are for a race, like on their outright ticket this week in Homestead. And then when you look at Ryan Blaney, for instance, the reason why both Kyle and I are on this number, and I'm sure there's a lot more sharps out there betting this guy won the Martinsville race in a like a runaway last year. And had it not been for Kyle Larson ARCA breaking Ryan Blaney going into the pits last year, he probably wins Homestead prior to even having to dominate Martinsville. So clearly he's not out of it. Tyler Reddick's not out of it. Even Chase Elliott, for that matter, who hasn't been great on either of these two tracks. Some chaos can happen. The guy is just good at being there near the end. Like, who knows?
Yeah, and we're bearing the lead as Joey Logano does it again. Wins Phoenix, rubs it in Brian's face, gets to focus all of his attention on the Phoenix championship race, something that just 2 years ago, he did the exact same strategy, won Vegas, punted basically. So let me get to Phoenix, figure it out there. And oh, by the way, all those resources that may have gone to the 22 team trying to advance are now going to go to Mr. 12, Mr. YRB, and give him maybe a little extra boost. So I added Reddick at 14 at MGM. Wait, I think it's my old number. I added Blaney at 28. Brian and I both did add Reddick on a better number in Vegas before he left there, so that's in our pockets. I did want to point out we both had Logano in our championship 4, so that was a nice number to cash. I also have Ty Reddick still pending, so I'm happy with that. Chase Elliott got 1 win. He hasn't gotten 2 wins, so maybe he'll drop some of these for me before the end, and maybe I should add him. I don't know.
I was just gonna say, I'm pretty sure you could cash that Christopher Buescher. I don't see him winning 2 of the next 3 races.
No. Well, yeah, no.
Yeah, no, I don't think it's happening. But yeah, just going back to Logano real quick. There were some rumblings on Sunday morning. I know if you watched the pre-race poll with Chris Wormy, he mentioned like he had taken a little nibble with Logano prior to the race because he had floated out to 25, I believe, at a couple books in Vegas. And even me personally, I mean, I had a significant amount of coin on 3 Toyotas this weekend in Denny Hamlin, Tyler Reddick, and Christopher Bell, and I almost got there and adding a little bit of Joey, just knowing what he's capable of doing. But when you look at the race, should he have won? No, like he was not a winning car.
Was the best, and we'll talk about that. I do want to clean up. Buescher did win at the one where he passed SVG and bumped him out of the way.
Oh, that's right.
He stole my win there, and now he's gonna. Yeah, so I don't think he's getting a second win, but we'll see. We'll cash that once Phoenix is over, just to feel something. So let's look at the race bets. So as Chris Bell was the best car. I was very happy to be exposed to him. I wish I had more. Close. I had personally had his outright. I had his top 3. I ended up betting Denny on Sunday morning just because he looks so good on Saturday and was in a good spot, and he's always a guy that moves forward. And obviously, he's just been a mess in the playoffs. Like things have just not gone well. He's kind of like how Truex was last year. It's just like he keeps sliding through,
and that's really interesting that you say that, because that was something that I was thinking about as the race was going on, and I was severely sweating an under 10.5 finishing position bet that I had made for a lot of money while I was in Vegas. How he was still able to get an 8th place finish this weekend in Vegas is miraculous. That car was no better than a 15th place car. He had pit issues all day, stopping short in his box. Then they got a loose wheel. They had trouble on the left side during another stop. They were a disaster. And I almost think for a guy that was as confident as he was coming into the playoffs to still be alive after sustaining all of these things, to me, it just says if he can somehow get to the championship 4, it almost feels like destiny is on his side, that things are falling his way in a sense to still allow him to have a chance.
He's been so bad in the first race of each round that Phoenix would be the first race, so he would just be awful. Exactly. If you do believe in Denny and you do think he can get a win one of the next 2 weeks or do enough to get through to the final 4, you can get some real long numbers on him to win the championship. I think I was seeing like 20-1 out there. Yeah, I don't hate it, because if we show up to Phoenix and he's one of the final 4, he's going to be 3-1, maybe 3.
I mean, the only caveat to that though is like, outside of this year's race during the spring where him and Reddick were kind of up front early, you would have to say that Denny's probably the least favorite guy if he makes it in the championship 4 in Phoenix.
For sure.
So
for sure.
But it would be nice to be holding
weird stuff happens. Joey Logano figured it out. I don't know. So yeah, I would make the Bell bet 1,000 times again.
Oh yeah.
Ty Gibbs was okay. I don't know. He
was a top 10 car, but then he had I think he sped on pit road or something, and then
he had his accident.
Sort of pass through. Like,
I don't know. I kept betting Ty Gibbs. The top 10 on number plus money I was fine with. The outright I was just want to be on it when he wins.
Yeah.
LaJoy over Hemrick, love that, got value. Of course, Truex rubs it in my face. KFB over Truex, obviously not a winner. Chastain finishes 7th, while Truex finishes 6th. Chastain was better. I'm so annoyed. I took the Reddick boost for a small play just because it was a good number.
That was also a good bet. The only car in the field that had anything for Christopher Bell was Tyler Reddick.
And of course, he flips and is upside down. And
let me tell you, that was scary. From the vantage point that we had in the media center, which it looks directly behind pit road onto the start-finish line. You saw Tyler Reddick's car just come floating sideways in front of you, and then whoop! This is not something you would have predicted you would have seen in Las Vegas.
I feel like we've had way more cars upside down this year than I ever remember. And they're not even like super speedway accidents. They're like Vegas.
It's the grass. That's what everybody's saying. It's the grass, which I agree to an extent, but to me, it was the transition from the grass to the asphalt to back to the grass, which is the actual issue. Had that entire patch been grass, he probably just gets stuck in it.
Well, and then who was it that flipped Briscoe? Wasn't there like a road course or something? I don't know. I'm trying to remember. There's definitely been a few that were like not Talladega or Daytona.
Oh yeah.
My favorite bet of the week that I found, I think on Saturday night, featured it in our newsletter, which aoppodcast.substack.com. aoppodcast.substack.com, our completely free newsletter, ships out every race day. Daniel Suarez over Austin Dillon, Noah Gragson, and Chase Briscoe. He was the long shot at 420. I loved it. Did not think he would finish third, but I will happily take it. I will cash that bet. Daniel Suarez was significantly mi amigo. I found a Zane Smith matchup on Sunday morning head to head, fired on that. So he lined my pockets this weekend, which was nice. And then we took the Logano over Gibbs. Did you not join me on that? Oh,
so I bet it personally, but I didn't put it on the card.
Yeah, plus money. Of course he wins.
Yeah, I will say my favorite bet of the weekend. It didn't actually hit. It should have, had the race just continued to go like a natural freaking race, was betting both Chris Buescher and Brad Keselowski top forward. Brad wound up being a pile of dog shit, but Chris Buescher was by far the best forward over the long run of the day. And he had run all the way up to like 5th or 6th at some before the weird caution, wound up having guys like Logano stay out to the end of the race there. Buescher was going to be the top forward by 5 or 6 places, and it wasn't going to be close after Blaney wrecked out and Logano had kind of sunk down the field after that last pit stop. So I love that morning. I played a little bit more than a half a unit while I was in Vegas on those. The numbers just seemed too long for the second best Ford camp that has popped on occasion at 1.5s.
Yep. It was a great bet, and he was awesome until he wasn't. And Justin Haley, honestly, was really strong most of the day, despite finishing 17th.
Well, he was another guy. When you had everybody pit with worrying that they weren't going to be able to make it, it completely jumbled up the field, because then you had a group of like 5 to 8 guys that just that ran long, and that messed up the finishing order. Logano had no business winning this race.
Nope. Chris Bell was the best car by a mile, was going to lap the field multiple times, and just had that race had another lap, maybe 2. He gets there, he wins, he cashes a bunch of tickets for us, and we're very happy to have him.
Yeah, I will say on Logano, though, everybody that's saying that this proves the playoff system is illegitimate or whatever they want to say, you could save me with all that bullshit. Joey Logano should be on 4 victories this year, and when you are in a sport that is about winning, how can you say that somebody that is tied for the second most wins currently should have the second most wins in the sport by himself how is that somebody that isn't deserved of being in this position, regardless of season-long points? I don't really care what the stupid
It's 'cause
season-long
they had
bullshit.
Christopher Bell outrights, dude. Everybody
Yeah,
knows that.
like, look, I had 0 money on Joey Logano yesterday. Or Sunday, 2 days ago. I had a ton of money on Christopher Bell. I would have been a very happy man. I would have taken a private jet home. I would have been able to rent a seat on a private jet had Christopher Bell won. But, like, Logano is a champion for a reason. This team just knows how to manufacture track position, manufacture results, and I can tell you that entire garage, whoever are his 3 opponents are in the NASCAR Cup Series championship race, they are shitting their pants right now just thinking of the prospects of having him going up against them in
Yeah.
Phoenix.
Imagine if there's 2 Penske cars sitting there on Sunday.
I think that would be a detriment to them. 2
Maybe.
years in a row now, they've had one where the entire team could focus solely on making that car
It's
the
true.
best. So I
That's
think the
true.
field would want to have Blaney in there too, because it would weaken those 2 cars, in my opinion.
Yeah. The Final 4 is gonna be interesting because obviously Logano takes a seat that we weren't really counting for.
Yeah.
We're kind of feeling pretty good about Larson and Bell, I think. And then kind of that 4th seat is up for grabs. I know we're both very, very much in the we want Tyler Reddick there camp. But it could be Byron, it could be Chase, it could be who
I will say
knows.
Willie B is just kind of floating under the radar still. I mean, another solid day. He's nothing spectacular, but there he was at the end, 4th.
Yeah, another strong finish. He's just been a top 5 machine and
Yep.
obviously can do well at Miami. Obviously can should be fine at Martinsville. So we'll see. DraftKings was okay. This was our best lineup with Larson, Hamlin, Blaney, Daniel Suarez, Justin Haley, and Daniel Hemrick. Suarez, I think, was the best bargain of the day. Obviously, starting 23rd, finishing 3rd, 11% on him in this tournament. That's amazing. And then we had obviously Chase crashed. Of course, Chase crashed. We talked all about it. We said he never does well. My other gold star lock, big play, John Hunter Nemechek, top
9th
10,
place, man.
5% ownership, did awesome. Priest did solid. Kyle Busch was fine. And if this Chase Elliott play is somebody else, I think we do much better. Obviously, it would have been nice if this was Chris Bell. The dump. See, Chris Bell, 112. Chris Bell plus Daniel Suarez, all the money. Tyler Reddick upside down, obviously, with Keselowski. Both of them got taken out. Busher was solid. Obviously, the field was on him. Bubba Wallace, 20%. Hocevar, I think maybe we got a little cute, but seeing
I
almost
was
17%
pissed.
of the field on him
Yeah.
makes me feel like, I don't know. Like, I feel like we definitely got a little adventurous with Carson, but he also looked awesome. He was 6,400. And if he's
And I
like a
think
top,
that was the idea with him, is that he could somehow rack up a couple of fastest laps, maybe stay there at the end, be in line for a possible top 10, even if he were to lose a few placements. At $6,400, I don't really care that he would have gotten us 20 points. Like, that's what you would have hoped for a guy that looked as good as he did on Saturday.
yeah. Obviously Priest and Nemechek, looking back, were better plays at a little bit less, but
Yeah.
the fact that he had it was basically 17% ownership, makes me
That
feel
also killed it too.
a
I
little
didn't
bit
realize
better
he was going
about
to
the
be so
play.
rostered.
Yeah, that also, for a guy with as much danger as he provides. And if we had to do it again, I don't think I would. Okie doke. Should we turn the page and look at Homestead? Do you have any thoughts, either South Point 400 or championship futures, or any other thoughts you want to get on tape before we switch to and talk a little Miami?
How Kyle Larson was able to fight back from 2 laps down and still get an 11th place finish, it just goes to show you how much better he is than 98% of the garage. there's nothing that team can't do when their backs are to the wall. And so clearly, if he gets into the championship race, he's going to be a threat.
Yep. All right, let's talk the Straight Talk Wireless 400. Kyle Larson 3-1, Tyler Reddick 6-1, Christopher Bell 6-1, William Byron 7. Blaney, you can still get around 10. I grabbed some 12. I know he's getting hammered. Reddick and Blaney, which Brian and I, shocking, are on both, are getting steamed to all hell. So let's start by talking about them, because Larson's once again a massive favorite. Everyone else is kind of filtered down from there. Reddick was as long as like 8 or 9. I think there was a
9.5 at
Yeah,
FanDuel.
and he got hammered. Obviously, runs the top line really well. Is going to be very popular here. What number on Reddick is 7's probably like where we need to consider, like, if you can still find a 7. This is a
Yeah, and I think 7's available at BetMGM still.
Okay.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
the reasoning. So when I'm looking at this race, you have the guys that are going to be strong here, like Kyle Larson and Christopher Bell, but you also have to consider the current point standings here. Like, who is going to be putting more risk into trying to secure a victory? Is it going to be the guys that are 30 plus points above the cut line who they get out of here with a good day and they essentially clinch a spot? Or is it going to be the guys in desperation mode like Tyler Reddick, like Ryan Blaney, like a Denny Hamlin, for instance, or a non-playoff guy who either wants to ruin the party for other dudes or they need a win essentially in the next 2 races to advance, which is why Tyler Reddick is my favorite pre-practice and qualifying outright this week. We all know how good Tyler Reddick is at these tracks where you can run the high line, and he was going to be really good last weekend. Where he's not good? Martinsville. Like, it is basically win or get out of here mode for the 45 team this weekend, and so they're going to be doing everything possible to find victory lane. A top 3 is not a successful day for them unless Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell, and William Byron, one of them wrecks out, so they need a win.
And with as good as especially Byron and Larson can be here,
exactly,
you got to win. You got to win. Blaney's the other one that's getting a lot of steam, was really, really good here last year. And as you mentioned, if Larson doesn't, break him, and then literally, then he's probably sitting in victory lane.
Well, also too, I rewatched the race last night while the crappy Monday night games were on. And when you watch the late restarts there, it's almost as if Denny was intentionally side drafting Blaney to allow Christopher Bell to run away with that race, because Denny almost knew he didn't have the car to compete up front that day. And Blaney was the best car pretty much for the majority of the day after, he had caught Larson and gotten track position, and it was Denny's race to lose. I mean, it was Blaney's race to lose until we had that whole issue with Larson ARCA breaking into him, into the barrels of sand and red flag conditions, blah, blah, blah. Like, so.
Oh, I remember that.
Yeah. Like
Larson at a really good price. And
I had Blaney. Like, I was pissed.
I'm sure we argued really effectively about that. I might.
We got to go back and watch that
for the Sunday episode, because I remember us getting really mad. And I think I was like, "What?" Larson was just being stupid going into the pits, but I'm like, I don't know.
Yeah, so that incident was very polarizing, because a lot of people, the Larson side, were saying that Blaney over broke into pit lane, and then the Blaney side, like me, is saying, what the hell is Larson doing going in there flying like a bat out of hell? Like, there's no reason to go into the pit lane that quick. So yeah, but we got off track there. So
as we do.
Yeah, my favorite 2 outrights as we sit here this week, Reddick and Blaney, and I don't think it's really close. I just think that those 2 guys are in win now mode. Although I think the best way to get Blaney is to go to that championship number, because when you look at these next two races, it's my opinion that as a whole, I would say Ryan Blaney's the best when you combine both Homestead and Martinsville based on recent performance.
Yeah, yeah, and I'm gonna pull up his results from last year, but that's basically what Blaney did last year um to lock in his position and then eventually win the championship. So
Well, and then just when you look at Martinsville results, the two Penske guys of Joey Logano and Ryan Blaney, they hold the top two average finishing positions in the next gen car at that track.
yeah,
So I mean, it
yeah.
just like Blaney is going to be the favorite next week, in my opinion, when we go there. I mean, he's
So
probably gonna.
Blaney went. This is Blaney's last 6 races of six. 1, 2, 3. Yeah, 6. 1 Dega, 12th at the Roval, 6 at Vegas, 2nd at Homestead, 1st at Martinsville, 2nd at Phoenix, champion. Let's go. But Dega accident obviously crashed. It was not like the very beginning.
Yeah.
10th at Roval, 32nd at Vegas, and then so we'll see. But
Well,
he was.
wrecked at Vegas.
That's true. He was so damn good down the stretch last year. So if he gets hot, look out. All right, so we're both obviously on Reddick. We're both obviously on Blaney. Who like we can't bet Larson again at 3. Like it's just we will not do it. If you want to do it,
Sure.
go for it. Bell at 6, Byron at 7, Hamlin, Truex. Where's your head going?
Honestly, I'm not really in on any of the non-playoff guys to win. I just think that this is going to be a playoff driver victory. Because you just like last week in Vegas, like you can't predict the ill-timed caution that takes those guys out of the running for the win there, or any accidents that can occur. But I like outside of Kyle Larson, Tyler Reddick, Christopher Bell, Ryan Blaney, who's going to win in a clean race against those guys? I don't think there's anybody.
I think this is the cream rises to the top section of the playoff. The best cars are going to win. Maybe you can get some exposure if you like a Ty Gibbs, a Martin Truex, a Ross Chastain, maybe out of the Fords. Like you can get exposure to them through other markets. Maybe best Ford, maybe top 5, top 10, maybe matchups. Yeah. There's ways to get them on your card. Like I got some garbage on my card last week, but in terms of outright prices, I'm only betting playoff drivers, and honestly, I'm probably betting Reddick's interesting. I want to bet Byron again, but 7 is just I don't know. Like I can't quite get there. And that's kind of it for me.
Yeah, and I think there's a really interesting conversation to be had about Christopher Bell here at Homestead. I know he won the race last year, but going into that event, he was open about the fact that Homestead was not his favorite track, nor did he think he was very good there. And it took them the entire race of making adjustments to even be able to compete up at the front late, which was the result of that weird caution of Kyle Larson being too aggressive. And so,
Yep.
it has that, had that not happened, Christopher Bell's probably finishing 6th or 7th, so, and we're probably going into this weekend's race, no matter how strong it looked at Vegas, with him in that 10 range, not 6.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, I'm looking at the true performance rankings over on Win the Race, which highly, highly, highly suggest subscribing for the stretch run and then seeing how you like it, because you'll probably be excited about it for next year. But Blaney was the best car. Then it was Byron. Then it was Larson. Then it was Reddick. Then it was Hamlin. Then it was Bell. Bell was the 6th best car despite winning. And then Truex, Gibbs, Dillon, Keselowski, kind of your top 10.
And I would even say that Brad Keselowski was better than Bell for the vast majority of the day until his brakes gave out.
Yeah.
So
What a weird, like the section after like the top 6, it gets real weird because it's Truex, Gibbs, Dillon, Keselowski, Allmendinger, Logano, Bubba, Kevin Harvick. Like it's just some interesting names. Obviously, we'll find ways to get exposure to maybe some of those guys, but as far as outrights go, I have Reddick and I have Blaney, and you have shocking Reddick and Blaney. So just bet like all the other 4 playoff drivers and call yourself a winner.
Yeah, just fade. Definitely fade Tyler Reddick. Look, I've probably donated more money with Tyler Reddick outrights this year than I've made on every other outright that I've hit.
At least you aren't donating on Ty Gibbs at basically the same number and with 0 wins.
Yeah, look, and on that, for instance, last week at 24, I did nibble at that a little bit just because that was a much better and that was the appropriate price for a guy that had never won.
If that race happens back in like June or May, he's like 12.
Yeah. Yeah.
So all right, so both have Blaney and Reddick. Are you considering potentially adding anyone else in terms of outrights for Homestead?
Based on price, I can't really get there with anybody because even if Bell puts it on the poll, he's going to be 5. I don't think he's going to drop down to 4. And then, Larson, I'm not touching 3. Even if post practice and qualifying, I'm not touching his number. I'll just.
What number do you need to see for Larson before you're like, okay, I'm betting that?
Well, just to give you an insight, I parlayed him and Verstappen, which wound up being a mistake. Sunday, yeah, Sunday morning, and I got 740. So I think for Larson, it's got to be 5. There's too many guys that are as strong as him. Well, maybe a ring lower than him, but when you factor in Larson's aggressiveness and tendency to wreck, I think that has to be put into consideration when you're looking at his outright prices.
Yeah, I want some Larson, but it would probably have to be kind of like what you did last week and parlay him with something. So if you have parlay partners for Kyle Larson, drop those down in the comments. Let us know what you think. I do want some Byron, but we'll figure that out. I'm gonna go look at manufacturer, and we can run through that. So Larson plus 115, Byron 350, Chase 8, Chastain, Kyle Busch. It's like Larson's so short, and you think you get a better number with somebody, but like the only one I really want to bet from that group is probably Byron, and I'm not betting 350. So
my favorite 2 Chevy, if you can get the right price, Austin Dillon and AJ Allmendinger. Both of them are just, for some damn reason, incredible here at Miami. And Austin Dillon, you can scoff at this all you want. You can put your nose up and say it stinks to high heaven, but this guy is as consistent as they get here at Homestead. Last year, 10th, 2022, 4th, 21, 12th, 20, 7th, 19th, 8th, 2018, 11th, 2017, 11th, 2016, 12th, 2015, 14th. I mean, yeah, it's not incredible runs, but if we get chaos, which with the playoffs in line here, just like 2 years ago, I wound up with a 4th place finish. Who knows? And at 35-1, you can bet a tiny little bit on that, and then also back it up in his peripheral markets of like top 10 or top 5 darts as well.
yeah, that sounds a lot like Daniel Suarez last week, who I'm sort of interested in this week, but he's just like uber like mid pack or better. Yeah, Dylan 35, that's fine. Especially he doesn't even need to win.
Yeah, exactly. Like he's just got to be clean.
Blaney, obviously the short price. Beyond there, a Logano, a Keselowski, a Busher, a Briscoe.
I like Kes in this market.
Huh?
I like Keselowski. If you're gonna play Keselowski this week, I think for upside, I think like top 5 or top Ford market, just because Logano is going to be a dump truck. Last year or 2 years ago when we came the race before the final race of the second to last round, I think Logano finished 18th or something. So he's not going to be in line for a good finish this weekend.
Yeah.
I even got a quote from him. I tweeted it out the other day. In his post-race presser, he said, "Our focus is on Phoenix, and the next 2 weeks don't really matter." I mean, there you have it. It just the 22 team does not give a shit about Homestead or Martinsville.
No, they really don't. Okay, let's look at top Yodas. Bell, obviously 210, Reddick 230. Truex, I guess, is 6-1. Like, isn't crazy. Gibbs, if you love the Ty Gibbs experience, 8-1. I have a hard time betting anyone that's not Christopher Bell or Tyler Reddick in this market. And I'm probably not betting them at their prices.
Yeah, I think it's basically the top. I mean, there's a lot of steam on Truex, and I've played a little bit on his top 10, and I threw a dart on a long top 5 number I found, but the only one that I would be interested in playing here is probably Bubba Wallace at 16. He was pretty sporty last year. He's been pretty good at Darlington. I think he qualified on pole for one of the Darlington races this year. So I mean, he's got speed. Darlington high tire wear track, like.
Yeah. Yeah, Bubba's chronically undervalued on most markets, so I don't hate that.
I wonder why.
It's a real dilly of a pickle. Team matchups, don't care. Race matchups, here we go. Ooh. Okay, here we go, Brian.
Oh, I'm taking the Dillon side on that all day.
Yeah, Austin, even at minus 120, that's going on the card.
Yeah, I'm playing that.
God. The show's either making millions or making us both extremely poor.
Yeah.
Let me see.
And I will say, so that Martin Truex over Elliott matchup, I played that at minus 110 shortly before I left my second home.
Who'd you play?
Oh, I played Truex. Truex is really good here. Top 10s, I believe, in like 6 of the last 7 trips.
But like
last year, his engine blew up while he was running.
My only thing is he's been pretty ass like since June. But he was awesome.
What did he do in Vegas?
Awesome at Kansas, awesome at Vegas. He could be good here. I'm probably not going to slam my head up against the wall again, but if we get really crazy numbers on Sunday morning, Saturday night, I might have to just figure it out.
Yeah, as much as we feel like he's given up, the car still has speed. Like that's
they showed the guy on the ATV in the middle of the desert, and I wanted to do something with Marty out there riding around his ATV. But he was running too well, so I couldn't. Suarez at minus 130. Like, I like Suarez this week, but I don't like Briscoe.
A little bit too heavy.
But that's aggressive. Look at that. What is going on here? Larson's minus 170, but Reddick's minus 140.
What the?
That's broken. Something's broken. Look at. The way the website looks is probably broken.
Yeah, that's definitely broken because I think that originally opened at Reddick plus 145.
Yeah, so it's probably plus 140, which I don't hate. You did that with Byron last week and worked out okay.
Look, I made out on those this last weekend where I bet Byron and Bell plus 160 over Larson for Vegas at Superbook. And I almost did it again with Reddick. It was Reddick, Bell, and I think it was Byron again at Superbook. And I almost just played all 3 of them again. But I don't know. I feel like I might get burnt trying to go to the well too many times.
Yeah. Byron plus 130 against Larson. It's fine. Not great, but it's fine. He's really good here. Yeah, I don't love any of that.
I do.
What are you betting?
I am going to play Tyler Reddick minus 110 over Christopher Bell.
Ooh. Okay. You think the pricing is a little based on how well Bell's been, kind of just in general, and Reddick's much better here?
I would say that Reddick has the advantage here, and the two cars were fairly close in Vegas. And I think the desperation adds another dime or two to Reddick in terms of he needs a better finish. Whereas Bell can get out of here with a 5th or 6th and just rack up a bunch of stage points and still be perfectly fine for the
I
next
can
round.
get you Reddick minus 105 against Bell.
Yep, I'm playing that. So I'm gonna shop that. I'm talking myself into more losing bets. So
Well, I won't join you on this one, so you can cash it all by yourself. Yeah.
yeah, because I almost feel there's a little bit of recency bias with Bell based on what he did in Vegas and him winning last year, but he wasn't.
Yeah, we talked about it. It wasn't the best car.
Yeah.
Brad, Bubba, Busher at 350. Gibbs, Logano. Ooh, I kind of like Gibbs. If you like some Gibbs, talked about Joey's not really interested. Kyle Busch is Kyle Busch, and then Ross. 3-1 on Gibbs seems kind of interesting.
I'd almost just play Reddick at plus 350 there, but then I think there you're betting him to win.
Yeah. Wow. The championship odds boosted to 11 when you could get them at a much longer number.
Oh.
What a gift.
Yeah, if you're watching this and you live in Las Vegas, go check Superbook. I'm pretty sure that number is still available.
Yeah. Yeah, it's more than double this.
Yeah.
Race matchups. Kyle Busch versus Truex, Logano versus. Oh, should we just take Allmendinger at plus 110 against Logano?
The only thing I worry is just the outright speed of Colleague.
Yeah.
I know Dinger is really good
Especially
here,
in that. He's going to be in the 13 too, right?
I didn't even look at the entry list this week. Hold on, I'll pull it up right now as you continue to shop and mull over Ricky Stenhouse versus Corey LaJoie. I know that's the one you had your eye on
money
there.
for LaJoie? I don't hate it.
Yeah, no, Allmendinger's running the 16.
Okay. I don't hate it.
Yeah. It's not terrible.
Let's see if we can find. I want a jabroni group. Like LaJoie, Zane Smith, Priest, and John Hunter.
Oh, well, okay. So the one prior to jumping on here, I told Kyle about one I hit. We'll go back there for Caesars. So Caesars has Allmendinger, Briscoe, Dillon, and Gragson. Allmendinger's really good here. That's known. He's just, for some reason, he always winds up with good finishes at this track. But I'm going to play Austin Dillon, who you heard me rattle off all of those finishes. Very consistent, running right near the top 10. And you can get him at plus 375 against two SHR cars who look like absolute dog crap. Burning a burning bag of dog shit that you would throw on a neighbor's porch when you were a kid. That's how bad they looked this last week in Vegas. So I think that team is clearly ready to end the season. Interestingly enough, I actually asked Chase Briscoe if they were holding a little shindig for SHR, and he did say post-season they are going to be having like a SHR get-together to say their goodbyes, all this type of stuff. So that's cool. But for racing purposes, they're not fast right now. So
No.
I'm going to fade them completely, and I'm going to take the RCR car over Colleague.
Yep. Especially at 375 to plus 130. I think that makes sense.
Yeah.
Ooh.
Wow. On DK, isn't that Group B? Reddick, Larson, Byron, Blaney. And isn't Reddick like 3 something? Oh, Bell is in it. No, Blaney. I would say that Ryan Blaney would scare me more than Christopher Bell this week at Homestead.
Yeah. That's why we bet him. Here's a Bell, Byron, Hamlin, Blaney.
Oh, damn. Look at that price on Blaney in that, though.
Yeah.
425?
Woof.
That's good.
Oh, is it? You'd rather bet him at 4? I guess, yeah, because he doesn't have
Larson in a group.
Yeah. It's over here. Yeah. No, I like that. Suarez at 3-1 against Briscoe, Dinger, and Cindric is tempting.
Is Dylan plus 200 on that?
Yeah.
Versus Gregson, Jones, and Stenhouse?
Yeah.
That's a little bit too short of a number for me on Austin Dillon.
Yeah. Yeah, Dylan's fun as like a little bit like not the favorite. Like if I could get him at like 3-1, I'd be interested.
Yeah.
But after all, he is still Austin Dillon. Anything else you want to make sure we get a chance to look at before we sign off for the night?
Yeah, I know there's a ton of markets. I think the top 10 markets, you got to shop them, are decent in some cases. Like obviously, I like Dylan if you can get the right price.
4-1.
Yeah, I don't know. I'd prefer to see a
6,
a more rounded number, like a 5 or something in front of that. Let me see if I can find that, because I have obviously offshore, so not everybody has this available to them, but I got plus 575.
That seems good.
Yeah.
Seems like the risk versus reward. 460 at
Oh, you know what?
FanDuel.
I'll play that on here for fun. I tell you what, I could not have imagined my card would be filled with Austin Dillon props at any point of this season.
Nope.
What number was that? 460?
Yeah.
Yeah, if that was the best number
I'd rather
I could
bet
get.
Dillon at 460 than Josh Berry at 460. I can tell you that.
Oh, yeah, 100%. Yeah, I don't understand the Gregson Briscoe love.
No.
Yeah, they're just slow right now.
They're not. This isn't a speedway. This isn't short flat. No interest.
Yeah.
Alrighty, Brian. I have 2 outrights. That is it. I'm always looking for more exposure. I am shocked that you are lapping me with bets right now. This is crazy, but 3, as I texted you, we have 3 races. We have Miami, Martinsville, Phoenix, and then the season is Dunzo. Really sad. Gonna be going through withdrawals for a little bit. At least we have the holidays, and then back in February we'll be getting ready for the 500, baby. We'll do this shenanigans all over again.
And we'll have to be convincing ourselves again not to wager.
Every year we get a little bit better at speedways. I think next year is our year to kindly just like let.
I'm definitely gonna make a bet or two, but
so much
it's gonna be tiny.
All right, so Reddick, Blaney outrights for both of us. Right has Dylan versus Gregson. Reddick versus Christopher Bell. Dylan in a group versus Dinger, Briscoe, and Gregson at 375. 375 is much more fun, even if it has a little bit better of a competition than 2-1. And then Dylan top 10 at plus 460. I'm always on the lookout for better bets. If you have anything you love, throw it in the comments. If you have any parlays with Kyle Larson you think makes sense, go ahead and throw that in the comments. We will be back in your feed Sunday morning. Make sure you subscribed to the newsletter, aoppodcast.substack.com, aoppodcast.substack.com, completely free in your email inbox every race day. That's Brian Twining live from San Diego, maybe or maybe not back in Vegas before this season comes to an end. I'm here from the home office. I'll probably be here until the season ends, but that's okay. We appreciate everybody who's made it this far, who's been joining along for the ride. Our true diehards are still sticking with us, even though football's here. If you've yet to hit subscribe, if you've yet to smash the like, if you've yet to drop a comment, please consider doing all of the above. Enjoy the rest of your week, and we'll talk to you next time.